Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book, Dear Riley Rose, no other than Miss Caroline Rose. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Caroline, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Caroline Rose. I'm the author of the first book titled Dear Riley Rose, the story of a woman and her dog and how they saved each other. This book has been 10, 12 years in the making, and seeing it published and available on Amazon is pretty incredibly exciting.
Awesome. Miss Caroline Rose, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. The subtitle hints the mutual rescue. Can you share how you and Riley Rose save each other?
Riley was a rescue dog. Riley was in a horrific state. He had been horribly abused. He was not even a full year old yet. And he was being put down because he needed extensive reconstructive surgery from the abuse that he'd endured. And I was at a point in my life where I had just come through my first bout of a stage 4 incurable cancer that I had been very shockingly diagnosed with when I was 27 years old. I was a big marathon runner. I did triathlons. I was actually training to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa when I was diagnosed. So my life stopped. I had to focus on treatment, saving my life, and sort of understanding what life looked like post cancer, post treatment. And that is when I found Riley very unexpectedly. There was no reason I should bring this dog home, but I did. He did not trust me. He was barely able to walk. And somehow, some way, we just found each other. We came together. My life, my mission, my focus became saving and rehabilitating this dog. And it happened fairly quickly. Once Riley started to trust me and I sort of understood what I needed to do to help him be able to live a normal, healthy life, we really created this bond, formed this bond that was really magical. I think in the beginning, you could argue that I did save him, but very quickly it became apparent that he saved me. He became my safe space. When my cancer came back for the second time, and then again for the third time, Riley was that constant rock, that strength, that source of support that only animals can offer. You know, he was just there for me quietly and dependably and loyally and didn't need anything from me. He just wanted to be there and meet me wherever I was. And I think having that love in my life at that time ultimately and absolutely saved me.
Truly magical. Miss Caroline, were there a specific moment where you realized this story needed to be shared with others?
I think I realized shortly before Riley passed. I think I started writing this book about 6 months before Riley passed away. And as Riley began to get older in life, you know, people would make comments to me, people that I didn't even realize knew Riley, and they would have stories of the impact Riley had on their life. And what became so apparent to me was this dog was so much bigger than just a companion for me. This dog had become a companion or a source of strength or joy or comfort to my children's friends, to children at their school, to parents, to random people at Disneyland when we used to take Riley to Disneyland with us as a service dog. This dog was so much bigger than anything I had even imagined. And I just thought his story needs to be told. Our story needs to be told. I'm passionate about animals, about rescuing dogs. I think if telling Riley's story could inspire even one person to go rescue a dog and save that animal's life, it was worth it. I think it was the courage that Riley gave me to live life and to do something like to write a book and publish it and put it out there. I think that was 100% the reason and the timing of why and when I decided to write and publish this book.
Truly inspiring, Miss Caroline, and thank you for publishing it and sharing to the world. What was emotional process like writing such a personal story?
That's a great question. It was difficult. It was healing. It was joyous. It was stressful. It was frustrating at times. I think when I decided to write this, I decided to really write this, meaning I didn't want to mask anything or not be very transparent or honest about all of it. And a lot of it isn't pretty, it's not the fairy tale story that I think we envision and hope for our lives. I tried to write it as honestly as I could. And by doing that, I had to relive some very hard experiences or sort of face some very difficult truths. But I know that's the only way to really move forward is we have to sort of process what we've been through in life, and we can't hold on to it. We can't really attach a lot of emotion, whether it be pride or shame or guilt. We have to just accept it for what it is, and we have to hold on to what we want to hold on to, and we have to move forward. And I think by writing it, it really forced me to process a lot of hard things that I had been through, choices I'd made, just choices other people had made. And there were times that it felt like I was right back in that experience. And by writing it, you're processing it through such a different part of your brain, through your soul, through your being. And it really was an experience for me to get it on paper. And then it was much easier to let it go or to move on or to quite literally close the book on that part of my life.
So, Miss Caroline, let's talk about themes of healing and companionship. What lessons about love, resilience, or self worth did you learn from your relationship with her?
Riley taught me, when this dog had been so horrifically abused at the hands of humans, it always stood out to me that he never, ever, ever lost the ability to trust again, to trust humans again, and it was this thing of he could have been aggressive. He could have growled when a human came near him. He could have held on to that hurt, that trauma, that fear. And he was scared when he first came home, but he overcame it and he allowed himself to live. He allowed himself to trust. He allowed himself to love. And for me, when I was coming out of my treatments, my cancer, all the fear, all of the anger, all of the confusion I had at this silent, invisible disease that was trying to kill me, you know, it was hard for me to trust life again. It was hard for me to re-engage with a world and quite frankly with a body that I didn't trust, and Riley really, really became that source of a real life example of someone, something that could live his life in trust, in love, in hope, in joy. And it was just my literal daily constant reminder that if he could do it, I could do it. And I had him by my side and he had me, and we kind of had each other. We literally had each other. And I wasn't going to let anyone or anything hurt him. And I knew he wasn't going to let anyone or anything hurt me. And it was this safe space that we created for one another. And I think as we grew together and became more comfortable with each other and with life in general, we sort of began to spread that love and that hope and that joy to others. And it just was the most beautiful thing to watch, and the lives that we sort of impacted together. And I couldn't have done that alone. And we did it together. And it was the journey that the two of us, that was really what I wanted to honor in this.
Miss Caroline, did you write the book chronologically or did it memories come back to you in a piece?
I never had an outline. I wanted to write this from a very um, spiritual source, if you will. I think when I sat down to write, I never knew what was going to come out. It was written chronologically, so I wrote it in chronological order. But when I would block out a day or wake up and feel like I need to go write, I never knew what was going to come out. I'd kind of start writing a few words or a few things, or something would inspire me, a song lyric or a smell or a memory or a sight, something. And it really was this religious spiritual thing. It just came out. Every chapter it just poured out of me. And I think that for me would be the only way for myself to write going forward, because I really, when I write, want it to be healing and spiritual and sort of almost like a God voice that just comes out, as opposed to sort of a rigid outline that I'm trying to stick by and follow.
What surprised you most while telling this story?
I'm sorry.
What surprised you most while telling this story?
What do I hope? I hope people read this and realize that even when you feel alone or misunderstood, or like if you have gone through a life experience that you feel has isolated you a bit, something that even your closest friends and family can't understand, that you're never really alone. My struggle was cancer. People have depression or lost a loved one or going through divorce. We all have struggle in our life, and fill in your blank. My blank was cancer, but we're all related in the struggle. Life is hard. And I think it's when we're able to be very honest about that and talk about it, we feel less alone. And that's where we really find the community and the hope and the joy, is in the honesty of the struggle.
Miss Caroline, what would be your short term and long term goals in writing?
My short term goal is to see this book really kind of soar. I don't need it to be a bestseller, but I would love for it to find its way into the hand of the reader that wants and or needs to read it. I think long term, I think I will be called to write again. I don't know what. I have some ideas. I think I need to be in the right spiritual and the right mental headspace to be able to do it. But I think that really and truly my goal is just to have the right reader read this book and have it make an impact on their life.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Caroline. And what would be your advice for those people out there who want to write their own book?
Right, 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 right. If you don't have an outline, if you don't have formal training, if you have something to say, please write it, because I guarantee you it will be a transformative experience for you and for the person that reads the beautiful words that you wrote.
Indeed, and stop procrastinating, people. Write, write, write. If you have the passion and share to the world. Let's talk the impact and connection of the book itself. What do you hope readers feel or take away after reading Dear Riley Rose?
I hope they have hope. I hope they feel less alone. I hope they feel more connected in life's struggles, even though our struggles look very different. We're all connected just through the common experience of living this life.
Have readers reached out to share their own stories of healing through animals?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, they have. And I would love for anyone listening that wants to reach out to please do so.
Miss Caroline Rose, thank you so much for sharing dear Riley Rose to the world. Yes, people, let's support Miss Caroline Rose, because if we support her, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Caroline, thank you so much for your time. Mordigan, people, see you soon.